Alright, so good morning students. Once again we meet for our English literature class, and we are going to begin with a new scene today, and that is the famous trial scene of our favorite play, The Merchant of Venice, Act 4, Scene 1. So on the screen you can see the cover of your book. Please take it out and please open on Act 4, Scene 1. And let us begin now with the text of the play. So before we begin with the text, here on your screen you can see a brief introduction to this scene given by the editor of this book. And this is the scene where Antonio faces trial in a court of justice in Venice, where the Duke of Venice is the judge. And this is the famous trial scene in which Antonio is tried in a Venetian court of law. The judge, who is the Duke himself, appeals to Shylock to show mercy, and Bassanio offers double the amount to Shylock. But the Jew does not relent in the least. Relent, that means decide to show any consideration or mercy. Portia, disguised as a lawyer, we already know that Nerissa and Portia, they had their plans, and soon after Bassanio and Gratiano left Belmont, these two girls, they have started for Venice, and now they have arrived here. And now Portia and Nerissa are dressed like men, and Portia is posing as a lawyer or a doctor of law, and as a lawyer was called in those times in Venice, and Nerissa poses as the lawyer's clerk. And so Portia, disguised as a lawyer, makes the famous speech on quality of mercy. Now this quality of mercy speech of Portia is very, very important for reference to the context type questions. So you must pay attention when I explain that particular area of this scene. And remember that Act 4, Scene 1 is perhaps one of the most important, or rather the most important scene of this play, because it is actually the scene of the climax of the play. The main plot or the main story of the play, where Antonio borrows money for his friend Bassanio from Shylock and then faces trial ultimately in this scene, makes it the most important scene in the play, or the scene of climax. Now, Portia's mercy speech, in which she urges Shylock to be merciful towards Antonio. However, Portia's request too fails to slacken the determination of Shylock, the heartless villain. She then turns the tables on him and allows him to have his bond on the condition that it should be an exact pound of flesh, and that too without shedding a single drop of blood. Thus, Shylock, caught in his own trap, loses the bond and has to depart with half his goods, and the other half has to be kept in trust on the condition that he becomes a Christian and bequeaths his property to Jessica and Lorenzo. Eager to offer anything to express his gratitude to the lawyer, Bassanio gives away his wife's ring to him, which leads to the ring episode, which is a very humorous episode, the starting of which is towards the end of this particular scene. In this scene, right is justified in the fullest measure, and malice falls into the trap laid for others. So, on one hand, you have what is right, and on the other hand, you have what is bad or nasty or evil or malicious. So, Shylock represents that malice, and let us see now what the text tells us. So let's begin. Scene 1, Venice, a court of justice. Enter the Duke, the Magnificos, Antonio, Bassanio, Gratiano, Salerio, and others. Now, who are the Magnificos? They are the officials, gentlemen who deal with official matters. They are called the Magnificos. And then officers, to be precise, are the various officers of law. And then you have, of course, the defendant Antonio, and his friend Bassanio, Gratiano, Salerio, and of course the judge is the Duke of Venice, Duke means king. Venice in those times was in itself a small kingdom, and the Duke was the ruler. And so he is the one who will take the decision and give the final verdict about this particular case. And who is the accuser? Of course, Shylock the Jew. So let's see. The Duke speaks. What? Is Antonio here? Hey, what's the matter? Has Antonio arrived? Is he here? Antonio immediately bows and says, ready, so please your grace. Yes, your honor, I am here and I am ready to follow whatever you please. And then the Duke says, I am sorry for thee. Thou art come to answer a stony adversary, an inhuman wretch, incapable of pity, void and empty from any dram of mercy. I am really sorry for you, because you have come here to face the questions of, or the accusations of, a very stone-hearted enemy, stony adversary, an inhuman wretch. He is a wretched, inhuman fellow who has no capacity to show mercy. He is incapable. Incapable means incapable of showing any pity, and he is void and empty from any dram of mercy. And he is totally devoid of. Void and empty means totally devoid. That means it does not have inside him the quality of showing mercy to others. And dram is the tiniest bit. It means a very small quantity. In those times in Venice, the quantity of dram was normally used to denote a very small amount. So he has no trace of mercy in his heart. He is without pity. He is stone-hearted, and he is your enemy. And I am so sorry to see that you have come to answer that enemy here in this court. So we can see that the Duke of Venice is also favoring Antonio. He is on the side of Antonio. Antonio says, I have heard your grace hath taken great pains to qualify his rigorous course. I have already heard, your honor, that you have taken lot of trouble, great pains, lot of trouble in trying to pacify Shylock so that he changes his decision about taking the penalty of his bond. I have heard that you have made lot of effort, your honor, to make him understand why he should not ask for that kind of penalty which he is asking or demanding. But since he stands obdurate, and that no lawful means can carry me out of his envy's reach, but since this man wouldn't listen, since he stands obstinate or stubborn, he will have his penalty, since there is no way that he will change his mind even if you have tried, since there is no other legal procedure or lawful means by which I can be saved. Carry me out means I can be saved from his envy or his revengeful attitude. In this case, it's not jealousy. Envy normally means jealousy in modern English, but here it means revengeful nature. So there is no legal procedure or lawful means by which I can be taken away from his revengeful intentions or can be saved from his revengeful intentions. I do oppose my patience to his fury. Since there is no other alternative, I am ready to face his anger, his revengeful anger, to suffer with a quietness of spirit. So, with patience, I am ready to face his anger and am armed to suffer. And I am already prepared to suffer mentally. Antonio means to say that he is mentally prepared to suffer with a quietness of spirit. That means with patience. It also means with patience, without feeling agitated, without feeling upset. I am ready to patiently suffer whatever he forces me to, causes me to go through. So I am ready to suffer. the very tyranny and rage of his. So I am ready to suffer his tyranny and his anger. Tyranny means his cruelty and his anger. So I am ready. So that's the first page, that is page 111. Move on to page 112. The next page, please turn the page and let's see what is said here. The Duke says, go one and call the Jew into the court. Hey, one of you go and call the Jew into the court. You see, Shylock has no respect in Venice. Whether it is Antonio or whether it is the Duke of Venice, whoever refers to him as the Jew. Nobody calls him Shylock. Go and call Shylock. No. Go and call the Jew. So, go and call the Jew into the court. Salerio says, he's ready at the door. He comes, my lord. He is actually ready at the door, and here he comes now, my lord. Salerio points out, and Shylock enters. Enter Shylock. Duke says, make room and let him stand before our face. The Duke uses the royal plural. Remember, the kings in the olden times, they never referred to themselves as I, me, myself. Instead, they would refer to themselves as we, us, and our. So, let him come and stand before me. Our face means my face, actually, in this context. So he says, make room. Let this fellow come and stand in front of me. And then there is a pause. So there is a dash. And then once Shylock is standing in front of him, the Duke, you can imagine, just like the judge sits inside the courtroom in a high-rise area or a platform-like place where he has his desk and he has his special chair. So the Duke also is sitting there, up there, and down below here in front of him in the open area before the Duke's table stands Shylock in the middle of the courtroom, and the Duke addresses him and says, Shylock, the world thinks, and I think so too, that thou but leadest this fashion of thy malice to the last hour of act. Shylock, the whole world thinks like this, and even I think like this, that you are but holding on to this revengeful attitude of yours till the very last moment. That this is only till the last moment that you are going to hold on this adamant attitude that you want your penalty. And then suddenly, surprising us, you will say you don't want the penalty. So we think that you are just playing a game with us. You're pretending that you are revengeful, and so you are holding on to your demand till the very last moment. And then you are likely to say something else, something exactly the opposite to that. You're likely to give up your demand. So that is what we think. The world thinks and everyone thinks. Do you think so, students? Not really. Well, the Duke is trying to sort of influence Shylock by saying this, but then Shylock is made of a different material altogether, and he is not at all going to show mercy to Antonio, because as we have seen in the borrowing scene, when Antonio and Bassanio were planning to borrow money from Shylock and had met him, Shylock was speaking to himself in an aside, if you remember, in Act 1, Scene 3, that if I happen to catch this enemy of mine upon the hip, that I am going to take my revenge for all the insults that he has showered on me. So now is that climax before us. So anyway, let's get back to the Duke's words. The Duke says that the world thinks, and I think too, that you are holding on to this adamantly till the very last moment, to the last hour of act, and then it is thought thou wilt show thy mercy, and then it is thought by everyone that you will suddenly declare that you want to show mercy. Then you will show your mercy, and remorse more strange, which will be much stranger than, it will be coming as a surprise for all. It will be a very strange thing indeed. when it happens. So you will show your mercy, you will show your remorse, and this apparent cruelty of yours will then be balanced by your sudden change of mind when you show your mercy and remorse. So thou wilt not only, okay, and then he says, and remorse more strange than is thy strange apparent cruelty. And where thou now exactest the penalty, which is a pound of this poor merchant's flesh, thou wilt not only lose the forfeiture, but touched with human gentleness and love, forgive a moiety of the principal. So he says that not only will you show your mercy and remorse, and whereas now you are demanding a pound of this poor merchant's flesh as penalty, you will suddenly say that you are not only ready to forego the penalty, but you are also touched with human gentleness, kindness, love. So on humanitarian grounds, you will also make another declaration. And what will be that declaration? That not only are you not going to take the penalty for the forfeiture of the bond, you will also forgive him a portion of the principal amount which you had originally given to him. So do you think that the Duke is making a right assessment of Shylock? Can anyone ever think that Shylock will think that way? That okay, fine, I understand, Antonio, that you have lost your ships, you have lost your business, you don't have money, you are a bankrupt. So I feel sorry for you. So you don't have to pay the penalty which you were supposed to pay me. And not only that, you don't have to pay me even the 3,000 ducats full. You can instead pay me just 2,000 ducats, or maybe just 2,500 ducats, or maybe 1,500 ducats. So I forgive and forgo not only the penalty, I also hereby declare that I don't want my principal amount back in total, but only a portion of that. The rest I am simply forgiving because you have suffered a lot of loss in business. So Shylock, we think that you are going to say something like this, and it is going to surprise us. And we are all looking forward and hoping that you would say this, says the Duke of Venice, glancing an eye of pity on his losses that have of late so huddled on his back. And why would you do it, Shylock? Because you will have a look at the present financial situation of Antonio, the losses that he has suffered, and the burden of so many debts which he has in the market, which he must pay off. So keeping an eye on such losses of Antonio, you are going to declare all this. And now to press a royal merchant down. So even the Duke of Venice refers to Antonio as a royal merchant. So now means enough. So much of debt that he has incurred in the market because of the losses that he has suffered, that it is enough to press him down. Even a royal merchant like Antonio has been pressed down. He is in deep trouble. And pluck commiseration of his state from brassy bosoms and rough hearts of flint. So Antonio's condition is such that his poor financial condition, his present state of affairs is such that it can draw pity from even the most, you can say the hardest or the cruelest possible hearts. So he says that I think his condition is such that he can draw pity from even brassy bosoms, brassy, metallic. Now bosom means here heart. So hard as metal, as if made of brass. Such hard-hearted people will also feel sorry for Antonio. So I'm sure, Shylock, you will also feel sorry for him. Brassy bosoms and rough hearts of flint. Flint means stone. Rough hearts made of stone. From stubborn Turks and Tatars, never trained to offices of tender courtesy. Antonio's condition is such that even the most hard-hearted people, like the untrained, uncivilized, illiterate, uncultured Turks and Tatars, in those days, these two races were like that. They were uncivilized, they were not educated, they were mostly attackers and robbers and very cruel by nature. So the Duke of Venice gives reference of such people, such races rather, and he says that Antonio's situation and condition is such that even the Turks and Tatars who have hearts of stone or hearts of metal, such hard-hearted people, such uncivilized people will also feel sorry for him and will show mercy to him. So indirectly the Duke means to say that, Shylock, we hope this from you because at least you are not a Turk or a Tatar. You are not as illiterate and savage, uncivilized, uncultured, untamed, cruel, rough, rude like those races. You are at least a Jew. You are from Israel. Israelites are not like that. So we all expect a gentle answer, Jew. So stubborn Turks and Tatars, never trained to offices, meaning to say never. They have never been trained to act with courtesy and gentleness. So they don't have any courtesy, they don't have any gentleness. Now, Shylock, we expect, all of us here in this court, we expect a gentle answer from you, Shylock. Shylock says, I have possessed your grace of what I purpose. I have already made you understand, Your Honor, what my purpose in this court happens to be. You already know why I am here. I have explained everything to you. You are aware of it. And by our holy Sabbath, Sabbath is Saturday. The Jews, they consider Saturday as their auspicious day. The Christians, they consider Sunday as their auspicious day or their church day. The Jews, they go to the synagogue generally on Saturdays. So by our holy Sabbath, the seventh day of the Jewish week, which was supposed to be sacred to the Jews. So, by our holy Sabbath, I have made a promise to myself, or I have taken an oath in the name of the holy, auspicious seventh day of the Jewish week. In the name of that auspicious day, I have taken an oath. I have sworn to have the due and forfeit of my bond, that I will have nothing but the penalty of my bond. So with that we come to page 113. Please turn the page or go to the next page. If you deny it, let the danger light upon your charter and your city's freedom. If you deny this bond and the penalty of this bond to me, then the freedom of Venice will be questioned and it will endanger the Charter of Venice. So meaning is explained alongside the document by which Venice was given independence. In those days, Venice as an independent state gave absolute and equal freedom to all its citizens, irrespective of their race and religion. So you had Christians and then you also had Jews who lived in Venice. So the law was supposed to be the same or equal for all, irrespective of their religion and race or nationality. So that is what Shylock is now saying. He's blackmailing the Duke. He's saying, if you deny, then the freedom of this state will be in question. Are the people who live in Venice free really? Are they treated equally? The world will question this. And it will seriously hamper people from coming from outside Venice and doing business in Venice. So it will be hampered. People will lose faith. They will have this fear that if something goes wrong while they are in Venice, the law will not support them, but only the Christians. So he says that it will really cause harm to your city's freedom. You will ask me why I rather choose to have a weight of carrion flesh than to receive 3,000 ducats. You will probably ask me, sir, why I want and why I have chosen to go for a pound of dead flesh. Carrion flesh means dead flesh. Once it is cut off from the human body, the flesh is as good as dead. So you will probably ask me why I prefer taking a pound of dead flesh rather than 3,000 ducats. I'll not answer that, but I am not going to give you any satisfactory answer to that question. I just want it. That's it. He goes on to explain. He says, but say it is my humor. Humor in modern English means something which generates a smile or laughter. But originally the word as used here by William Shakespeare means wish. You can call it my wish. It's my wish. I want it. That's it. I fancy that I should have the pound of flesh rather than take the money. So I'll have it. Is it answered? So have you got your answer? It's my wish. That's my answer. Why I want to have a pound of flesh? Even before you ask me, I am telling you this. Even before you ask me why I want a pound of flesh and why not take the money, this is my answer. It's my wish. Are you answered? What if my house be troubled with a rat, and I be pleased to give 10,000 ducats to have it baned? Suppose my house is troubled by the presence of a rat. It is destroying my house in many ways. It is cutting through things and eating up the food and destroying things inside my house. And I spent 10,000 ducats to get it removed. In order to get rid of the rat, I spent 10,000 ducats. Now, if I do that, that's my wish. Because it's my money and I decide how I spend it. My wish. So I can spend 10,000 ducats to get rid of that rat. What? Are you answered yet? So, tell me now, have you got your answer as yet? Some men there are love not a gaping pig. There are some people in this world who don't like to see a pig with its mouth open. There is an explanation given alongside. Pigs are eaten by Christians. The Jews hate pigs. They don't eat pork. We already know that. Shylock had said this before. Once again referring to Act 1, Scene 3. I will not eat with you, drink with you, or pray with you. Shylock had very clearly said. Because I don't want to attend your party or accept your invitation because I don't want to smell pork. Remember? He had said. So he says, there are some people in this world who cannot tolerate the sight of a roasted pig served on the table, and because it has been roasted, its mouth has automatically opened up, and that's how it lies, an entire pig, roasted pig, in a huge plate kept in the center of the dinner table at a party. And then if you want to have it, take your knife, cut off a piece, take it on your plate and enjoy the pork flesh. So those who eat, for them, not for all. So he says there are some people who cannot tolerate the sight of such a roasted pig with its mouth open. And then some that are mad if they behold a cat. And then there are some people in this world who, if they see a cat, they simply go mad. They cannot tolerate the sight of a cat. They are allergic to cats. If they see a cat, they start jumping in fear and they start running away. So there are all sorts of people in this world. People are scared of so many things. People dislike so many things. So it depends. From person to person it varies. And others, when the bagpipe sings in the nose, you have all heard the sound of a bagpipe. Every year when we have our annual sports meet, you see the army pipe band who come and who play the band, the music with which you do the march past. So he says that there are some people who cannot tolerate the piping of a bagpipe, that is the sound produced by a bagpipe, as if it is something which one is singing through the nose, because that is the kind of sound which a bagpipe produces. It's a nasal, nose-related sound. It seems like that. So there are some people who cannot tolerate the sight of a gaping pig. There are some people who cannot tolerate the sight of a cat. And then there are some people who cannot tolerate the sound of a bagpipe. And what do? They cannot contain themselves. They cannot maintain their self-control when they hear the shrill notes of the bagpipe. For affection, mistress of passion, sways it to the mood of what it likes or loathes. Because personal inclination or affection is the ruler or is the mistress of any passion or human emotion. And so it directs our emotions or our passions to like something or to dislike something. So meaning is explained alongside. Whenever you read the text and come across something which is a bit tough or difficult to understand, please refer to the side notes. You will be able to understand. So that is what happens. Likes or loathes. Loathes means hates or dislikes. Now for your answer. As there is no firm reason to be rendered. Now as far as your answer is concerned, just as there is no concrete or solid reason which I can possibly give you as to why a certain man cannot tolerate the sight of a gaping pig, why another man cannot tolerate the sight of a harmless necessary cat, and why yet another man cannot tolerate the high-pitched sound of a woolen bagpipe. Woolen because the bagpipers, if you have seen, there are 3 pipes sticking out of a bag which is made of wool, and there is one mouthpiece attached to the other end of that bag. So they blow through that mouthpiece and then it goes inside, the air goes inside the woolen bag which is draped upon the shoulder, and then the 3 outlets let out the sound. So if you have any doubt with regard to the appearance of the bagpipe, you can Google it, and Google Images will show you the picture of a bagpipe. So anyway, he says that just as there is no firm answer that can be given for why a certain man cannot tolerate the sight of a gaping pig, yet another man cannot tolerate the sight of a harmless necessary cat, and yet another man who cannot tolerate the sound of a bagpipe, but of force must yield to such inevitable shame as to offend himself being offended. But when he himself is offended, he is compelled to react in such a shameful manner that he must give offense to others. So you see, such sightings or such sounds affects such people to such an extent that they are offended by such sights and sounds, and they react in such a manner which is a very shameful thing, because the others present, they feel that it is really awkward and really untoward for such people to behave in such a manner. So he means this. And then he says, so can I give no reason, nor I will not. In the same manner, I can tell you that I don't want to give any reason to you. I cannot give you any reason at all. More than a lodged hate and a certain loathing, I bear Antonio, that I follow thus a losing suit against him. All I can say is that I bear a certain hatred, certain dislike for this man Antonio, and that's the reason why I am pursuing, I am insisting, I am appealing for this kind of penalty. And it is a losing appeal for me. It's a losing suit. Why losing suit? Suit means appeal in a court of law. I am actually a loser, because I am foregoing the money which I have given him. I just want a pound of his flesh. And that pound of flesh is of no use to me. Remember, Shylock had earlier said that he wants to bait fish with Antonio's pound of flesh. Or rather, he goes on to say that he wants to bait fish. But here he says that I just want his pound of flesh, and if I get my penalty, I will actually be a loser, because money is money after all, and that pound of flesh will be of no use to me. Are you answered? So are you answered, Mr. Duke? Now the Duke has become silent, and Bassanio now speaks up. Bassanio is very angry when he hears Shylock's reasonings, and he says, this is no answer, thou unfeeling man. This is not an answer, you feelingless man. You have no feelings, you are a heartless fellow. Is that an answer? That's not an answer. To excuse the current of thy cruelty, as an excuse for this cruelty which you are showing, current, the present cruelty that you are showing, which is like a current. This is not an answer. This does not justify your present cruelty. Shylock says, I am not bound to please thee with my answer. I am not bound to please you with my answer. You like it or you don't like it, I hardly care about that. I am not here to please you with my answer. See how curt and point blank he replies to Bassanio. Bassanio says, do all men kill the things they do not love? Do all people kill those things which they don't like? You don't like something, so you kill it. Is that the way the world moves? Do all men kill such things which they do not like? So we stop here for the day. This is line number 67, and we have come to the end of page 113. So we have finished the first 3 pages of Act 4, Scene 1 of The Merchant of Venice. So I hope I have been able to explain in every possible detail. If you have any doubt with regard to any portion, you can once again play this video and listen to my explanation, so that the things become quite clear to you. So that's it. Thank you very much.